And yesterday we learned a great deal about what exactly we can do with data pages. Yes or no? Like how exactly you can replace, a report definition call or a obj browse call using data page. How you can load the data and you can reuse at a thread level. But the obvious doubt you all would be having is, yes, we did it. This is at something called as a thread level, but we also saw that there was a requester level and mm, there was a requester level as well as node level available. What are those is something which would have crossed your mind if, of course, if you would have heard it and if it made sense to you yesterday. You saw that yesterday we created this data page at thread level and we ran it and we saw that it was being utilized in the same screen. For the first time it was loading from the database, and then after that it was not calling again from database, it was utilizing from the clipboard because it was already available with the thread scope. Yes or no? Did we see that yesterday? Yes or no, guys? Can I get a response? Are you guys able to see my screen? Perfect. Can someone brief me what exactly did we see yesterday? Like what did we understand from yesterday? What was your takeaway from yesterday? Anything? No one? Very important topic. So we understood that data pages in previous versions were called as declare pages, and from Pega 7 started calling it as data pages. The class it rolls up under is declare rule hyphen declare hyphen declare pages, right? We saw that, right? Rule declare pages, and all these pages which get created will be getting created as d underscore, and with it's kind of like replacement for report definitions and obj browse. Wherever you need data, depending upon how we want to access it, we can create them, and these are always created under data class. Yes or no? But if you see yesterday when we created and utilized it, we did it at a thread level. If you see, there are three levels: thread level, requester level, node level. Yes or no? Are we able to see that? I opened the data page yesterday which we created: thread level, requester level, node level. Now let us see if this page already exists on the clipboard page, and let's try to recreate yesterday's scenario and understand once again what the thread level means, and from there we'll take it further to understand requester and node. Do we see that available here under the thread level? Is the page available? Yes, no. Is the page available under the thread level? No, right? We are not able to see the get states page under the thread level. Are you able to see that? It is not available here. Do we agree? Have you guys promised that you are not going to respond to anything which I am going to ask today or something like that? Okay, okay, perfect. Okay, so let's try to recreate what we did yesterday. Let me turn on, let me go to my flow and create a work object, and let us see again how the data page gets loaded, right? Let me open the tracer. Let us see if the settings are still there or they are gone. We just want data pages, perfect, and only my application rules. It's okay, perfect. Okay, so the setting is in there. Let me go and say run. We should see some around 17 records. Oh, sorry, I'm doing something wrong here. I have to create the flow. Let me empty the tracer. Is the tracer loaded? No, not yet. Okay, perfect. Good. So I'm running my flow. Again, we are looking at how the data page gets loaded at the thread level. The scope right now defined for this data page is thread level. If you see, by this time I should have some records. If you see, around 17 records got loaded, but in this it is loading. The data page load has begun, in the sense when we triggered this, based on the drop down, Pega saw that there is a data page called d underscore get states, which is mapped to the states drop down, and it triggered the report definition. That is why we see data load begin here, and then it loaded the data on the thread scope, and the data page load has ended here. Now the data page got loaded in the database, in the clipboard, sorry. Yes or no? It got loaded in the clipboard, right? If you want, we can go and verify that. If you go to the clipboard now and see for this particular work object C7001, you will see that the data page will be loaded on the thread scope. On the thread scope. Are we able to see the get states table data being loaded here? Yes or no? Now, when we try to turn on the tracer and move ahead, we will see that it is going to use the same data page. It's not going to again load it from the database. It is going to use the same data page. That is the point of using data pages, right? We don't want to go to the database again and again to fetch data. We want to use, existing data page which is already loaded. Do we agree? See? 17 way is where it was stopped. You will see that it tells data page instance found. In the sense, on the clipboard it already sees that this data page is available under data pages, right? Do we agree, guys? If you see, the data page was loaded only once, but we are using multiple times in the same thread. What do we mean by thread? We have to understand that every work object is a thread. If you see, if you open the tracer also tells what thread you are pointing at. What is the thread you are pointing at right now? C-7001. C. See? Does it make sense? Thread is every individual work object can be considered as a thread. So what they are saying is there are three levels. One is the scope of data page can be thread, can be requester, can be node. What is thread? Thread is nothing but every work object you create is a thread. When we set the scope of data page as thread, which means inside that thread, inside the context of a work object, you can reuse the data page. What this means is, inside this C7001, you can reuse the data page as many number of times. Why? Because it is defined at this thread level. What this means is when I try to create another work object, it is not going to use that the data page which is already available on the clipboard. Why? Because the scope of that is just for this thread. Let us see if that is true. Okay, I'll turn on the tracer. See, right now it is loaded till 33. Okay, remember it has loaded till 33 and it is telling data page instance is found. Okay, data page instance is already found. It utilized that because on the following screen also we are in the same thread. In the customer details section also we were in C7001. In personal vehicle section also we are in C7001, which means in the same threads context we access the data page twice, and that is why it didn't load again, because we have defined it at the thread level. Now let us see if we try to create another work object, does it again load it? Just remember that we are at 33 and the data page was found already for the same thread. Let us try to create one more flow or work object and see what happens. If you see, first time when it loaded for this thread, it will be telling data page load begun and data page load end is something you will be seeing. Okay, so let's go back to customer flow and try to run this. I should see C7002. Am I able to see that? This is another thread. C7001 is one thread. C7002 is a new thread. Let us see if the data page load again happened. So we had captured till 33. Yes or no? Right? And if you see 34, data page load begin and data page load end. Don't we see that the data page again has loaded for this new thread? do do we understand when someone tells you they'll be, this is like, it's architecture sort of a question. They will be asking you, what do you mean when you say the data page is defined? What are the scopes for data pages will be the question. The question will be, what are the scopes for data pages? You will be telling thread, requester and node. Okay, what do you mean when you are saying that this is a thread level data page? What I'm saying when I am saying it is a thread level data page, for example, if I create a work object and this data page is being referenced on multiple screens, only for the first time when I try to access that data page is when the data page will be loaded from database. After that, inside that thread, as many number of times I can call and the same data page will be accessed. However, if I create a new work object, the data page will be loaded again. Have we proved that here, guys? Yes or no? Is it understood? Very important, guys. You have to understand this scope very clearly. If you understand this, your answering skills within your interviews will be, very good. Because if you have understood it, you can tell it very clearly. See, I am on the second thread and now I see there is a data page which got loaded here. Yes or no? See the timestamp? Just few seconds before it has been loaded. Is this explanation making sense to you guys? Do we understand what do we mean when we say thread level data page? I'm asking each and everyone in this class. Perfect. Okay. So if you see C7001 and C7002, both have this data page loaded, right? Come on. C7001 and 7002, both of these guys have the data page loaded. See, 7001 is my first work object or first thread, you can say, and you will see the data page is loaded here. Print this in your head, guys. Thread level is this. Whatever you have understood right now is thread level. But you might come and say, sir, but this is the data page which can be accessed by multiple work objects. Why did we keep it at thread level? Yes or no? Why should we load it at thread level when we know that we can access it at all the work objects? Does it make sense? Right now it is making two calls, though it is being used 4 times. In every work object it is being used twice. And so here we are using that thing 4 times, but we are calling twice, once here and once here. Yes or no? In the same way, if I'm using that the data for 10,000 work objects, and if in every work object, if I'm accessing it 5 times, I'll be calling that work object 10,000 times in a day, which doesn't make sense. If the data is constant, I don't think I have to keep it at that level. You might be asking, is there a way in which I can call it once and I can use for all the work objects? Make sense, guys? So to achieve such sort of functionality, Pega gives us a scope which is called as requester. What is a requester? Will be your next question. Thread we understood. Every work object is a thread. Now your question will be, okay, sir, you're telling we can do it using requester, but what is a requester? Requester, you can imagine a requester to be exactly similar to a Facebook login. For example, when you log in into a Facebook screen, you'll be working and doing something. If you leave it idle for some time, or any application for that matter of fact, it will tell you the session got timed out. Doesn't it tell you? Haven't you seen such thing? That is nothing but, every requester is nothing but a user who is using that application. Can we agree? And the duration for how long he will be there is nothing but a requester session. Yes or no? For this particular developer studio, the requester is admin at alpha. Do we agree? So what we are saying is, if we define the scope as requester, we are saying for this requester, whatever number of work objects he might create, whenever he logs in, that data page is loaded. Any number of work objects he can create, he will be utilizing the data page because it is already existing, because it is created at requester level. Does it make sense, guys? So let us try to see this. I'll keep this in thread scope only. Let me save this. Okay. And what I will do, I will log off from this screen and let us see if this page is still available there. Make sense? I just don't want to spoil that. Uh, where is this requester guy? Where is my log off? Come on. It is exactly behind this guy. And log off. Perfect. Okay. So now I logged off this particular session. Okay. Make sense, guys? Now let us see, after I log off and log in again, let us see if that data page is available. Okay, in the clipboard page. That data page was defined at the requester level. Sorry, thread level. Yes or no? Do we agree? So if you see now, when we log in, as soon as you log off, ideally those threads are gone. They are gone for good. They are not available anymore. I want you to understand that. All that we are doing here is understanding thread, requester, and node. This is really advanced topic, guys, but I'm trying my best to help you understand what exactly this means. Okay. Um, so when I try to open my clipboard page and see what are the chances that I can find that, uh, you know, the page which we have used, it won't be available. No chance it can be available. You know why? Because those threads are not available at all. You see? Do you see the d underscore get states page here? Data page. Are you able to find that? No. And also, if you see, the thread we are pointing to is standard. What did we say? This is a thread scope data page. As soon as we log off, those work objects were closed. And as soon as that work object is closed, in the sense that thread was killed, it is gone for good. That is why you won't be able to find that data page here. Do we understand what is thread level data page? Yes, no? Perfect. To understand requester, what I did, I removed I'm not pointing the data page to a requester level. I have kept it at thread level, and I came inside. And I see that it is not there. So we understand that whenever we create the first work object, that is when you will be having that page created here, because that thread exists then. Now there is no thread existing. That is why we are not able to see that. Even under the requester tab, requester page tab, we are not seeing that because we have not defined it at the requester level. Let us try to define this page at requester level and see what happens. Okay, going back to my data page, d underscore get states, and saying, hey, I understood thread, what is thread level data page. Let me see what is requester level data page. Saved it. Okay, now let's try to create a work object, or ideally it should create it. Let us see. That would also good test. Let me check. Just trying to check it out. Admin alpha rules. Logged off, logged in. Ideally, whenever you first access it is when it should create it. But still, let us verify it. Hold on. Auto insurance. So thread level, it won't be available. As soon as you log off, it will be gone. That is something we understood. Thread level is limited to that work object. If you want for another work object, it will be hitting, and again it will be creating the new data page. That is one thing we understood. So at requester level, let us try to understand. I have changed the scope of that particular data page to requester. Let us see the clipboard page. Do we have that page? I don't think we should be having that. Fine. So we don't see that. Are we sure? We are not seeing it here. Can anyone find that here? No. Perfect. Okay. Now let me try to create a work object and let us see. Okay. Customer flow. Let me turn on the tracer, because the first time load should be seen. Run. This should create me 7003. Perfect. If I go back to tracer, I will see that my data page got called. Yes or no? It got loaded. For the first time, it got loaded. Perfect. Also, if you go to the clipboard, you will see that now the page is available at the requester level. Yes or no? Previously, this was available at thread level. Do we remember? Perfect. Now, what I want to ascertain is, okay, let me move past one screen and see what happens. It should reuse the same page. Yes or no? I should see 33 records, but it should reuse the same page, which it ideally will do. See 33 lines, and then if you see from 17 is where it ended, and again it is telling 18, it is telling data page instance found. Now what happened when we created new work object with the thread scope? It again loaded the data page. Let us see what happens if I create one more work object. This is a new thread. Do we agree? 7004. Perfect. Okay. Let us go and check. We had 33 records. Now from 34, you see what it is telling? Data page instance found. Is it going to the database and calling again, loading the report definition, or loading the page by hitting the database again? Is it doing that? It's not doing. It only hit when the requester first time when he accessed this particular page is when it loaded. After that, this requester can create zillion records, zillion work objects, but it will be using the data page which is already existing in the clipboard page. I can move past to the next screen and it will be using the same data page from 44, see 65. It is telling data page instance found. I can create one more work object. Still it will be using the same data page. From 65 you will see to 81. 65, see it is telling data page instance found. Are we able to understand what is thread level data page, what is requester level data page? Yes or no? Very good. So now we got clarity. Requester is anyone like a Facebook login user. You logged in and few details you're going to use again and again. They have created a page and they are telling, okay, you can use as many number of times. Remember, what is this? This is entirely a caching concept. Ultimately, it's a caching concept. Exactly similar to how we discussed the Netflix thing other day, right? When we discussed, we told, hey, the first time the person access calls the movie Kantara, only then it is going to be loaded. After that, it's not going to again call it for the second time. It is going to access from the nearest server where it has loaded. Isn't the concept similar with data pages also? Yes or no, guys? Right, perfect. So we understood what data pages are at thread level and request level. So now your question will be fine. I think we are able to achieve whatever we want with thread and requester, but what is node, right? What is a node? What is a node level data page might be a question. Of course, I'm believing no one has any understanding about IT in this particular batch. I assume that so that teaching becomes slightly easier because I am believing that no one has any understanding. Node in IT means, for example, mm, access group. Okay, it needs access group. That's right. So node in IT means, for example, let us say you are running a tuition, okay, and you have 3 rooms. Whenever the capacity increases, you will move students to the next room. Whenever capacity increases in the second room, you will move them to the third room. This is what you do whenever you have increased capacity. In IT also, it is exactly similar. Whenever you log in, for example, on Diwali sale, we had Flipkart Diwali sale, right? There was a sale exactly at a certain time. If you log in, you can book a iPhone for a certain price. Did you guys all see that deal which came in for Diwali? Yes, we saw that deal, right? Do you know how many people would have logged into Flipkart at that particular point? It was at 12 a.m. exactly. Could be millions, right? Yes or no, guys? So every time you log in, right, into any such application, you will be logging in into one of the nodes. A node is nothing but uh, a branch from a server to which a user will be logging in. For example, if a application, for example, Facebook application is running on a server, it will have, for example, 10 nodes. Every node will be handling like around, let us say, for example, it will be handling around 100 users. Exactly similar to the tuition room concept which we discussed. Whenever you have more students, you will be moving students from this for the first room. Whoever new user, a new student will be coming, you'll be asking them to go to the second room. Once the second room is full, you'll be asking them to the third room. So there might be data, for example, which will be accessible only for one node. You know, if the data has to be maintained at a node level, then you will be using node level data pages. Whichever user is going to log in into that particular node, he will get access to that data page. And this will be created at the node level, not at the requester level. For example, if that is data, that is a data page which has to be utilized by every user, then it is no point creating that at the requester level, right? For example, on the the Diwali sale day, let us say there was some data with respect to iPhone which you had to load for every user. Okay, let us say 1 million users are accessing. Don't you think if we go with the requester level data page, 1 million times the database will be hit? Does it make sense, guys? Is everyone with me? Are we? I'm just trying to help you understand the difference between requester and node. When would you go for node? Okay. Uh, are you able to understand, guys? Let us say that that is some data which is needed by every requester. For example, on the Diwali sale day, exactly at 12 a.m., 1 million users are logging into application. Imagine 1 million requests on database. 1 million requests. Isn't that a huge load? So to avoid such hits, we can load that data on a node. When we load it on the node, whichever user logs into that node, that data will be already available. Whichever user logs in first, at that time, that data will get loaded on the node, and whoever next time logs in, he can pull it from the node level and he can access it. Does it make sense, guys? Okay, very good. But at node, when you try to define it at a load level, you will need something called as access group. That we'll be covering that topic also, but right now I'll just add it. Access group is nothing but a group to which users will belong. You know, it's like a group. For example, your tuition group. Will you allow any student inside your tuition, or you will be allowing only who are part of that group? In your tuition room example, when you have three rooms, and whenever first room fills up, you will move the students to second room. Second room fills up, you will move to third room. But you will also make sure all are belonging to your tuition or not. Yes or no? That is the same thing we are telling here. He has to belong to the same tuition group so that I can allow. That is something you have to tell. Additionally, when you go for node level, you will need this additional configuration which can be done under load management. Okay, that is access group. Don't worry about that. Right now, just understand what is node, requester, and thread level data page. Thread we understood. Every time a new thread is created, you are going to hit the database and fetch that data. Node requester also we understood. Every time a new requester logs in, we will be hitting that data again. If you want to understand, we can create another operator and we can see if it is getting created or not. Let me open the operator. So admin at alpha is what we are using right now. I'll create one more operator. Right, and I'll call it user, and I'll call it user at alpha. Create and open. Perfect, save. Now when I log into this particular the new user, I will see that the it won't, because right now I've changed it to node. But if I would have kept it, we'll understand the thread again. So sorry, requester. I'll keep it on requester, and you will see again as a new requester when I log in, again the data page will be loaded. To do that, what I will do, I'll go to uh, Mozilla and I'll try to access my environment. Why? Because we want to see at requester level also, is it working? We saw that for the that requester it got triggered. Let us also see with this thing if it is happening. Right? Save. I was able to log in successfully, I guess. Perfect. And I have to move from here to auto insurance. And I will say Designer Studio. Come on. No rush. We have to understand this thing very clearly because the questions around these are very often, because these are newer concepts. These are not something which are existing in previous versions. So you should be very well versed in this. If this is clear, right? If you can explain this thing clearly, half of your, the interviewer doesn't expect you to answer all the questions. That is something which you should understand. But he expects you to answer whatever questions you answer. Your clarity should be really good with that. That is one expectation. Even you would do that, right? If you are interviewing someone, you won't expect him to answer everything, but whatever he answers, if he's confident in that, you know that whatever he has learned it correctly. That is the expectation. Yes or no? Now that we are here, do you see get states table here in a new requester? Are we able to see that? No, right? Because right now it is still at requester level. Now again, when I create a work object, you will see that the requester will be added. The requester level data page will be added. We can verify that. See, I won't run the tracer again, or if you want I can, no issues with that. But see, just see that the requester level page will be added. See, requester get states, yes or no? So what is happening, every time a new requester is logging in, it is going to call it once, and then after that, every thread you create, it can utilize it. As many number of work objects you can create, and you can utilize it. So we understood that. Very good. Now what I will do, let me log off from this guy, and let me change that particular work object to this particular page to not this thing, to node level. Thread requester node, expecting this thing. Let me just give that also. Alpha to authors is what we are going to use. Save. So we need a group, and we have set it to node level. Perfect. Now let me try to create a work object. Let's turn on the tracer also, so we know. Run. See, the data page got loaded. I will submit. It will call the same existing data page. See, from 17, data page instance found. This we already saw, right? We know that this is happening, and at the clipboard level you will see that the page now exists at, where does it exist? At the node level. Yes or no? Guys, are we able to see this? Very important. Re Node level data pages. Node level data pages, very important. Node level, requester level, and thread level. Here it got loaded. Now let us see, when we log in into our other environment which we have logged out of, let us see what is available there. I logged into user at alpha, the new user which we have created. Okay, because he's part of same tuition group, same access group. Okay. Mm, Now let me switch here to my designer studio. Boop, boop. Let me open my clipboard page and see if the node level page has already loaded, or should I recreate it? Should I access it to see it existing? Do I have my get states page already available on my node level? this will be available for all those million users who logged in on Flipkart Diwali sale day. Whatever values you set at the node level, this is not going to hit the database again because it is already having it here. Yes or no, guys? Does it make sense? Node level, requester level, and thread level data pages. Very important topic in Pega. Was this understood? Anyone who wants clarity can stop me and I'll be happy to explain it again. No issues. Just let me know. I'll show you. I'll trace and show you also what it is showing. Clear. Customer flow. Run. Sorry. Come here. Data page found. Do you see data page load anywhere here? Was this understood, guys? Very good. So this is a understanding of what data pages are all about. One very common, very frequently asked question is, what are the different modes for or scopes for a data page? Thread level, requester level, node level. Thread level is limited to a work object. Every time you create a new work object, that data page will be called and the thread will be loaded with that. However, if you want requester a requester session to have access to a data page throughout his session, then you can create the page at requester level and you will see all the work objects he creates wherever he wants to access that page. That page is available in the clipboard and he can access it at the requester level. However, if some data has to be available for the entire users of a given node, for the entire batch of a tuition group, then you can create it at the node level and that data will be utilized by whoever logs into that node. Didn't we see that? The data is called only once, utilized zillion number of times. Was it understood, guys? Very good. Database is very important concept. You guys should do it by yourself and understand. There is nothing fancy we have done here. Even a blind person can do it, even a deaf can also understand. All that we have done is created a data page through a data type which had only two columns, nothing complex about the two columns. What does a state table contain? State code, state name. Using this thing, we built an entire data page and then we added the two screens and then we called it multiple times. We used different strategies: thread, requester, and node. Isn't it simple enough to, like, understand the concept? Yes or no? Now, if in the same way you can have 15 to 30 or 100 columns, if you are only hitting it once and calling it, there is no issue on the database, right? You're just going and fetching that water from the well once, but you are filling the entire tank and keeping for anyone else to use. Yes or no? Right? This is automation. When someone tells, oh, we are automating, what are they doing? They are going to make sure your system is smart enough, smart enough to handle stuff. This is what they did with banking also, right? Previously, you had all of you guys had to go to the bank, write a challan, and then deposit amount, retrieve amount, or do any transaction. You have to go and stand in that queue. That's why they came up with the app. Now you can, like, yo, what do you want it on? Amazon Pay, Google Pay, Razor Pay, Phone Pay, right? Have we not transformed? the expectation is also that thing from you. When you are hired, the expectation is how you can remove manual processes and you can automate and make it streamlined like this. These are the tools which we will be using to do or achieve such solutions. I hope that was conveyed clearly today. If you guys have any questions, I can take them. Srilekha, how did you like the class today? Are you there? I don't think she's there. Yes, Jagrati. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's okay. No, let her ask in Hindi. I will convert that to English and I will explain. Don't worry about that. Go for it, Jagrati. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So, Jagrati's question is the node level data page which you are defining, does it have a timeline? Is there an expiry associated with it? Am I right, Jagrati? Yes, no? Is your question right? She's asking, is there a duration for how long this will be active? Is what she's asking. So, if you see, exactly similar to how a tuition class is run, right? Let us say if you have three tuition rooms, you have been running tuition rooms for classes, but over the weekend you want to clean it up, yes or no? Because students have been coming, sitting, and this, the place gets dirty because you are using it, yes or no? With nodes also in IT, it's exactly similar. The more you use, the more it gets dirty, in the sense there is some garbage which gets collected, there is some memory issue which gets corrupted. So, as a hygienic process, what they practice is every weekend or every fortnight they try to recycle the servers. Does it make sense? Whenever the server gets recycled, that page is lost. That is the duration for your node level data page. Whenever the server comes up and the first time whichever user logs in and accesses that particular screen, for example, he created a work object, the node level data page gets loaded for the first time on your clipboard. And from there it gets, whichever user logs in, he will be using that node level database. There is another advanced concept called refresh strategies, which means, for example, let us say this data, someone is updating this data every 2 days, 3 days, or something. At the back end on the table, someone is going and inserting those records manually. At that time we will be using something called as refresh strategy. It's slightly advanced. I just didn't want to introduce that because you asked, because I there was a time when I'll be introducing that. But anyways, load management. Under load management, there is something called as refresh strategy. For your answer, for to answer your question, you can also define this. If the data is older than these many days, please refresh it. For example, credit score or foreign exchange amount. The dollar rate today is, let us say, 80 rupees, 80 rupees 35 paise. So every morning I can create a node level data page and I can set the value of the dollar rate for, whatever amount it is. I can fetch the fetch value and I update it. And then I can define a strategy here for every 24 hours, please refresh it. Does it make sense? At the node level. And if you want to be done it at minutes, for example, every 60 minutes, please reload it. Sometimes you want for seconds, every minute you want to reload it, you can do it here. Does it make sense? Yes. Okay. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm. Yes. Yes. You can keep those values valid for 10 days here. And then after 10 days, you can refresh it off. Could be a discount which you are applying. 30% discount on all these values. Load this database at node level, keep it active for these many days. If it is older than 3 days, just refresh it off and load different data. Whatever you are updating in database, the same thing gets loaded. How does data come on this thing? It ultimately hits the database, accesses this table and gets the data, right? Ultimately, that is what we are doing here. Yes or no? Does it make sense, guys? Perfect. Okay. I hope today's class was